Okay, and I'm back. So, it's been a minute. I don't think I've done a live stream in a minute, so I'm back. Hopefully, I was torn about doing this one because we'll be talking about James Bond, the new James Bond movie. It's gonna be half spoiler free, and the other half a little bit of spoilers, just a little bit, just because I need to set some examples about stuff that I'm gonna complain about. So, I hope you're ready for that. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, back. And like I said, part of doing the live stream again. So if you actually want to join me in the chat, you can see it right here. So Mob Nasty, thank you for joining me. Glad to be back. You know, it's different doing things live. It's a little bit more exciting. It's a little bit more special in a way. Also, it saves me from having to answer Instagram stuff. So if you actually want to contact me, this is the easiest way. And while I'm in that, I guess I should say that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at. Whoa, yeah, I got the wrong one here. Let me just fix that real quick. You can find me. Let's just fix that real quick. Let's see. Done. Did I fix it? Nope, did not fix it. Let me try to fix it again. Stupid technology. Why? You know, this is why I hadn't done this probably. There you go. Right ones. You can, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on Instagram or at Dario SDW. Streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. If you want to join me, like I said, if you want to be a part of the chat, I appreciate it. And again, this one is going to be tricky because, fair warning, there will be spoilers on the other half. Not complete spoilers. I'm not going to ruin the story or anything, but I do need to use some things as examples that could kind of, ruin stuff for you. So, there you go. So yeah, like I said, you want to jump in the chat, I'll happily, join you. But let's get into the movie here. So we're going to be talking about No Time to Die, the final Daniel Craig James Bond movie. So for those of you who don't know, Daniel Craig is an actor, and he has been portraying the super spy, probably the most famous spy in all the world, which I know seems like a contradictory thing, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Probably the most famous spy in, all fiction, James Bond. So, this is his final movie. He started with Casino Royale, and this is the final one, No Time to Die. So if we're gonna go through them real quick, it's it's Casino Royale, then Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and now we're at No Time to Die. So the movie is watchable. The action's fun. It's enjoyable. It's long. It's very, very long. So you should be ready for that. It feels long, and that's the problem. I have no issues with long movies, okay? I'll sit through a 5-hour Lord of the Rings movie. I don't care because it's Lord of the Rings and it's fantastic. I don't like it when a movie feels long, like it's overstayed its welcome. This movie feels very long, and I don't think it's necessary for it to be very long. However, let's start with the positives. So first off, I think all the performances are fantastic. Daniel Craig is fantastic as James Bond. He's been doing it for a while now, and I've been a fan of his James Bond because it's a different Bond. I know that a lot of people have issues with it because it's a different type. He's a different type of James Bond. But that's what I like. He's kind of like a actual badass. You look at this guy like, yeah, this guy could kick my ass. Yeah, this guy is actually a killer. So he's scarier in that way. But there's also he's lacking on the charm arena. I think he's a bit too cold or something. So I grew up in the Pierce Brosnan era, so it's like it was not really as much of a badass, more of a charmer. Here, Daniel Craig is inverted. He's more of a badass, less of a charmer, but it's fine. He did his own take on it, and I like the movies. I think they're, as action movies, they have been better than the ones before. But so his performance is great. Daniel Craig, no issues there. The rest of the cast, we have Léa Seydoux. I think that's how you say her name. Léa Seydoux, you might remember her. Well, you might remember her from the previous James Bond movie. She does a great job as well. We have Rami Malek, who plays the villain, who also does a pretty solid performance. We have Letitia what's her name? I forget her name. No, let me see. I have it right here. Lashana Lynch. Okay, so we have Lashana Lynch. And finally, to close out the cast, at least, I mean, you got Ralph Fiennes in there, you got Naomi Harris in there, but the most important chick here is by far my girl, Ana de Armas. So, that's the cast. Everybody does an excellent job. And I mean, everybody does an excellent job. Which is kind of what makes this movie, hurt. Because it's amazing performances, and still they feel kind of wasted. Like, I feel like they wasted Daniel Craig on this one, like his final James Bond performance, and it got wasted in many, many ways. So overall, like I said, the movie's watchable. There's things that annoy me about movies in general, and let's say, for example, I'll give you something that I complain about quite a lot, and it's like the lack of realism while you're trying to be real sometimes. Let's say, for example, grenades. A lot of people don't understand how grenades work, and I understand that. Like, I can understand James Bond surviving a grenade. Like, I totally get it. It's James Bond. Whatever. It's fine. Suspension of disbelief. It annoys me. It really annoys me, but I can understand. I can let it go. Because, for example, because a grenade, and just keep this in mind, a grenade has a kill radius. That means that from the point it explodes to 5 meters out, it has a radius. Anything within 5 meters is dead. Even if you're behind something, you're dead. It has a 5-meter kill radius. For those of you who don't know what meters are, imagine like a 15-foot kill radius. And so sometimes, you see in movies that somebody survives, like, just because they stand behind of a door, or like they move a foot away from the grenade. That's not how grenades work, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't expect them to understand. I don't expect them to understand, the rules of physics or whatever. It's fine. I can let it go. Especially for a James Bond movie, I can let it go. The big issue with the movie is story-wise. It has it's lacking a lot in the story department. And I'll get into that more in the spoiler arena. So the movie's fun. I watched it in Mexico. I didn't really pay that much for the movie, so whatever. It's worth your money. If you want to just shut your brain off and watch explosions and stuff and hot chicks, cool. Not enough hot chicks in my. But personally, I would have added more chicks there. But whatever, doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. Let's focus on where would I rank this one in the Daniel Craig universe. So, like I said, there's 5 movies. The best one by far would be Skyfall, then followed by Casino Royale, and then here's where I'm in a conundrum, because in many ways this movie was not terrible. It has good ideas in it. I just think that the execution was wrong, and the director lacked the balls in many sense, because he sets up the character for a very, very interesting situation, an extremely interesting, very badass situation that should lead maybe like the most dire situation James has ever been on yet, several times, but he did not follow through. He kind of let go in a minute, so that makes it lack a little bit. So if I have, like I said, if I have to rank them, Skyfall 1, Casino Royale 2. The other 3, I know that at the bottom I'll probably put Quantum of Solace, because it's the most forgettable one, and I think that's like the biggest crime, for a movie, or that's the biggest sin, being forgettable. And I can't tell you who the villain was. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember him. I don't remember the plot, so I'm putting that one at the bottom. This one at least had a good villain. So here the Spectre again had an interesting villain. The execution was not great. But between this one and Spectre, I think this one might be a little bit better than Spectre. Maybe. Just because it's the last one and there was a little bit of nostalgia there. But overall, I was left wanting. I was disappointed in many ways. I did not like the way that they wrapped things up in many ways. I didn't like the pacing. I didn't like the way that they used the villain. Because the villain was kind of It's... Because it was a great performance by Rami Malek, but I think that they used him wrong. So... Again, overall, like I said, it's a watchable movie. It's a James Bond movie. It's enjoyable. The action's great. The stunts are fantastic. But they did commit a few cardinal sins. And the main cardinal sin that I'm going to go into, I guess I'll just go into the spoiler point now. So overall, worth your money, sure. Because I don't expect much more from James Bond movie than this. But and I guess before I go into spoiler arena, no, let's just go into the spoiler arena because I want to complain. So, like I said, this movie has like a cardinal sin, and it's right at the beginning, and I complained about this, I think, on my last movie review, and that's that the villain loses his first fight. That's something that should never happen because it makes the villain less scary. And so, in the beginning of the movie, at the very start, we have the villain who should have been killed by a little girl. You know what happens when the main villain should have been killed by a little girl, and by BS reasons he survives? It makes the villain look massively incompetent and massively not scary anymore. It's like, oh, you mean that guy who tried to kill a little girl, and then the little girl should have killed him? You mean that guy? Really? Seriously? That guy's scary? That guy's the villain? So, cardinal sin number 1. Cardinal sin number 2, the head goon. You know, all the James Bond movies have like a head goon. Like Inspector, it was Batista, or like the dude with the teeth. I forget his name, or the dude with the hat, or Short Round. I forget their names. They always have like a big goon. So there's the big bad guy who's the brains, and then they have his main big kahuna who's the bronze. Here, the main like muscle loses his first fight against James. So you know what happens to that guy from the rest of the movie? You're like, that loser. You know what should have happened there? It should have ended with him winning and James having to run away, or in a tie, or whatever, or actually him beating James in the beginning. But no, right in the beginning of the movie, like the second sequence of it, he gets his ass kicked by clean, and it's more than clean because it's multiple guys against one. So it's one of those things that you're like, and that guy's supposed to be scary from now on. Like that, I'm supposed to be worried about the guy whose ass he kicked easily, clean. So, like I said, problems there, and kind of big problems. Like I said, those are the two biggest sins on the movie, and they're right at the beginning. The rest of it is the characters are not used to their full potential, and in a way, my big issue with the villain is, and like I said, Rami Malek, let me show you him for those of you who don't know. He played Freddie Mercury in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. Great actor, good performance. The problem is that for a lot of the movie, it felt kind of like, the way that he set him up is, it felt like the director being like, oh yeah, I'm going to destroy every single thing else that was built up for the villains up to this point, all the villains before, so that my villain looks cooler. Actually, up to a certain point in this movie, the villain is kind of the hero. Like he's successful where James isn't. And then his plan is not exactly clear what he wants to do. It's clear that he's evil, that's for sure. But it's not clear what exactly his plan is, because so far what he's doing seems to be kind of like what the heroes want to do. It's weird. It's very weird, but all right. And so it's not exactly clear. His timing is very odd. They have this thing where I hate where they know. Well, there's a lot of plot holes. For example, James has been in retirement for like 5 years. Nobody knows where he is, and all of a sudden, everybody knows where he is. And then let's say, for example, the new 007, which is the actress here, Lynch. She goes over and finds James Bond, and then the next time James Bond goes to MI6, to His Majesty's Service or whatever, to talk to M is like, we all thought you were dead. It's like, so you're telling me that she was able to find him? She works for you. She uses all your intelligence, but you all thought he was dead. So how did she find him? No, and they say that he went so far off the grid and nobody knew where he was. They all thought he was dead, but she was able to find him, like, with no issues at all whatsoever. And the boss and the whole agency, like the tech guy, the smart dude who traces people, he thought he was dead. He wasn't able to find. So it's one of those things that you're like, why would you add that there? Or why would you add the other thing of her going to find him? It doesn't make any sense. And another thing, the best sequence by far in this movie is the one that has Ana de Armas. It's the most James Bond movie. It's the most James Bond-esque of all the sequences. It's phenomenal. It's criminally short. Like, her part in the movie is criminally short. She's fantastic. She's phenomenal. That chick is a star. And the whole sequence, because it encompasses the villains being super villains, villains being super evil and having like this maniacal reach, and then the surprises, the betrayal, and then all of a sudden the chase, and the James getting his ass kicked, and then fighting off as a badass, and there's a little bit of comedy in there, and the competent sidekick, and all that stuff. It's everything that James Bond should be, and it's only one sequence, and actually you could take that sequence out of the movie, and the movie would still be fine, mostly. I mean, you could just be like, oh yeah, this has been happening, and done. It's really weird. I'm not sure what they were thinking, because if they would have just kept with that certain particular direction, it would have been great. But they wanted to add other stuff and force another character down your throat, and you're like, but why? I get it. once you see the end result and what they were trying to go for, it's like, okay, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see what you were going for, and I kind of agree up to a certain point with what you're doing. The problem is that once you got there, you broke a lot of rules to get there, okay? You did a lot of shenanigans, you did a lot of crazy stuff. All right, fine, I can accept it. All for you to get here. The problem is that when you got there, you didn't do anything with it. So not only did you fuck up the stuff before, you fuck up the stuff at the end, which is, personally, very annoying. So, like I said, overall, missed opportunity, massive missed opportunity, a waste of great performances from everybody. Everybody. I have issues with certain, let's say, B or C characters, but overall they did fine. It's a James Bond movie. Everybody you feel like, oh, that dude's really evil. Or like, that dude's kind of forgettable. But off the top of my head, everybody felt fine. The chemistry in there felt fine. The interactions between the characters were very charming. Everything was great. The issue was the story. The story was wrong. Too many plot holes. They broke a lot of rules of logic, and I don't mean like film rules. I mean rules of logic. They also broke a lot of rules of physics, but I can forgive that. It's a James Bond movie. And then they broke those, and then they broke the rules of storytelling by not actually doing anything with this thing that they built up. They built up something great. I need that to be clear. The situation that they built up by breaking all the other shit before was phenomenal. They just didn't know what to do with it, or they didn't have the balls to do something with it. That is the problem with this movie, and that's why, unfortunately, it makes it like a blah movie. It makes it, like I said, it's competing with Spectre, which one is better or worse? And the only reason, honestly, why it's even competing, it's because of Ana de Armas and her sequence. Because she's just fantastic. She's great. Anyway, so that's it. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Hopefully you see the movie eventually, and then you let me know what you think. But that, I believe that is... yeah, that is it for today. Now, oh yeah, I don't have the song here, so whoops. You're gonna have to just hear me do the outro by myself. Let me just see. Let me do a quick out here. All right, there you go. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario SDW on Instagram and at Super Dario World, streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. Yeah, join me in the chat there. I'm gonna have it up now, so you can always chat the whole time, or you can even chat amongst yourself. You know, the Twitch people and the YouTube people. I'll eventually work out a schedule. I will. I promise. And I'll just try to do it consistently. I just haven't figured it out yet. Life's still kind of interesting at the moment. So, as always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.